And before, this is our last session, by the way, our last session. And before we are going to continue with our last session and last topic that we are going to discuss, I just want to make, I'm going to miss you too. I'm just going to make an announcement. I don't know if somebody told you that, but your access to Jira is not forever access. We are going to, because a new group is starting on September 6th and we have a limited number of users we can support, we would have to delete your group. If you are going to rejoin September 6th group and repeat, I think we will be able to re-add you, to re-invite you. But we have to do it, and we do it after every group is about to finish. So I think sometime first weeks of September is going to be Jira is going to be over for you, unfortunately. So if you want to try things out and you are free to do anything you want in your current mobile application project, if you want to create stories, if you want to create tasks, if you just want to go crazy, feel like that, feel free. So go ahead and create different types of tickets and issues and try things out. But I also want to point out that you don't overthink Jira and what you've learned, during our time here, and you've been asking Hannah about Jira a lot. So I just want to tell you that Jira is so flexible and so configurable that I have never seen two identical Jira projects. If you have an idea how it looks and how it works, you will come to work, you will see Jira, you will figure out. And there will be some areas that you would need to figure out still, because as I said, it's so much configurable that I have not seen identical projects, even within the same company. So I'm currently working on two projects in parallel, doing end-to-end testing, and boards for these two teams are different, and fields inside issues, tickets are different, because that's how every team decided to configure their Jira. So do not overthink it. There are more important things to take care of, and before you go, not before, before you go to the interview and while you are starting your career. So I was talking with my eyes closed, so let me just quickly see. There is some questions. Tanya, will your online notes presentation stay for a while online? I am not going to remove them if it happens, because I might just want to move notes to a different Google Drive. If it happens that I would have to do it because my current Google Drive is already almost full, I will totally update links in the class table for sure. And if you feel like that, I think you can even now download everything, all materials that I have and I've shared, so you can download them and keep them to yourself. But links in general, I'm not going to kill them. And what plus in those links is that you've seen the living documents. Students are adding new videos. I'm uploading them. I'm giving links in those docs, and so they are living documents that are getting updated. Zarina, if you did not test with me, you did not test web apps or websites, and there is a difference between a web app and website, and we've talked about that. So if somebody can answer to Zarina, maybe not right now, but later, that would be helpful, because we've already been talking about that. And what? So what we are going to, and the second announcement that I wanted to make. So first of all, please don't be surprised that you might not be able to log into Jira after September 6th. And the second is that Hannah yesterday promised you, she didn't promise, I guess, she offered you an extra session on Postman But unfortunately, after we carefully revisit the schedules, just there is no way to have an extra session on Postman. What she is going to do instead? So yesterday she was she has created collection and she was using this collection for demo. So she is going to add description for every call in this collection, and she is going to upload the collection to Slack so that you can download it to your computer and import it in your Postman tool. And so you're gonna have this collection with all the right calls, no typos, and you will be able to practice. And yes, your website, the one that we are using to share notes and in your schedule and everything, it's not gonna go anywhere. I mean, I've been here for 1.5 years. I know that those pages for groups way before yours are still alive, so you have access to that. And I think, I mean, I don't know for how long, but should be. No, you will not, Max. I just explained there is no way we can fit another session with Hannah into the schedule, unfortunately. But on the other hand, um, you didn't have time to just practice together what she was showing to you yesterday. But for that, she is going to share the collection she was using yesterday so that you can run this collection on your computer and you will know what each call is doing. And she promised to share that by the end of the week. And if you would have any issues with this collection, you are more than welcome to ask her in Slack, and hopefully she will be able to answer. Olga got upset about not having an extra session, but don't be upset about not having an extra session because it's still not going to be. I mean, what is the reason behind you that desperately wanted this extra session? Something was not clear. You didn't have enough time to practice. To see more Postman. Well, I think that the Postman team is one of those few teams that provides you with such a great documentation and tutorials that as long as you have a collection to run, as long as you have some application to ping, you are totally will be able to figure this out on your own. And you just will be able to. It's not the rocket science, I promise you. And it's the way if you just go to Postman's official website, they have the bunch of tutorials, including the video tutorials, and those guys know Postman and can explain it way better than I would. Or, I mean, maybe Hannah is good as Postman team. I cannot judge, but if I judge myself, I would say that that's where I would go and that's where I would learn. It's just most of the time the problem is that you don't have the application to use Postman against. And Hannah will solve this for you, and she's going to share this collection she was using. So you will have all the calls. You will be able to run them one by one or its collection and see what's going to happen. Make sense? Not clear. Well. So I'm just thinking how much of the Postman, it really depends. And one of the tools that you might be using or might not be using at work. So we do not know. It really depends on where you're going to go with that. So to practice and understand when we need it. And well, tonight I will try to explain where you might need Postman and where you might need the tool that we are going to cover tonight. Hopefully, it's gonna help you to understand why we're using these tools. And because if I do not know why do I use it, so I just cannot learn something. It's just like why do I do this? I need to understand what does it do and why am I using that. So let's go and start. I mean, if you feel like let's do this. If you I don't know. I mean, actually not my call. Um, let's give it a try. Let's give Hannah time to prepare this collection, and then you will see if it's completely not clear. I don't know. I don't want to promise anything, but let's start with what she promised, and let's see how it goes. So let me go over our today's plan, and then I want to save time at the end. I need to shut down my cat. Shut up, my cat. So I want to save some time for where you would be able to ask me any questions, including the one, Dimitri, you just asked. And so but we need to, before that, we need to cover what we are going to cover. So we are going to talk about Charles Proxy. In a few minutes, we're going to know what it is about, and I will do my best to explain why do we use it and how it's different from Postman, by the way. And so after we're done with all the Charles for Proxy cool features and everything, we are going to talk about interview questions a little bit, and then I wanted to review your tell me about your project activities, but honestly, I only see 15 submissions, and some of them one sentence submission that I know that you could have done better. So I don't know if we want to spend time on that. No, okay, we will review. And then I'm getting questions just like in direct messages, and they are sometimes very similar. People asking about, well, what am I going to do if I do not know automation? Maybe I shouldn't have skip it this time. Maybe I should have learned it. And also, I do not have IT background, stuff, things like that. So I'm going to give you my perspective on that. And maybe a couple of sentences about this part about native hybrid versus cross-platform. And why it's important to understand. And again, I will re-emphasize it. And so, and this is going to be our moment where I will try to answer your questions, everything that you are curious to know at the level I can explain or at the level I can share. So let's start with Charles Proxy, and then we will try to leave time, and even if it's going to be overtime, I will still stay to answer your question. And today's session, I want to start with the real interview question, one that I personally received. So it's very common interview question, and so that common that I have also received that, even though I didn't go to many interviews in my life. So the question is basically, you have an application and you're opening up your app and you are seeing less content that you would expect. And so they would ask you, how do you approach that? So to make it a little bit clear for you, I'm going to go to our Looking Bus, and let's say in my Looking Bus application, I have, for example, my places, right? Do you remember we can save places in our Looking Bus app? And let's say I go to my places. Okay, I cannot go it right now. Let's picture, if you were ever been in Looking Bus, you know there is a screen to where you can look up your places. And let's say you know that you should have like 5, but you come to your screen and you see only 3. So what you're going to do? Apparently, there is an issue, but how you are going to approach this one? So are you going to? I'm going to just stop asking how you would approach this situation. So you have less. What are your next steps? You know you have created 5. You open your app. There are 3. What are you going to do? You can check database. Yes. Okay. So you are checking database, and the database says you have 5. What does it mean to you? So it means it bug for sure. This is the bug from the first sign where when I open in CLS, it means I have bug somewhere. I just not clear from the first sign where the bug. Can it be that, well, so we have some suggestion that, so Max was more specific, and he said that it probably is UI bug, right? If the system does return 5, oh no, well, system, what we call the system. If I do not see, I know I have 5 in the database, but I do not see those 5 in my app. So do you think you're going to go ahead and file a bug against your iOS developer, or I mean against your mobile developer or your backend developer? Mobile. Okay. So you right away are going to file bug against front end just because you check the database, right? I mean, I do like how you did not all started saying, well, that it's totally UI bug, but you actually didn't believe what you're seeing and you decided to check the database. But things can go wrong in a lot of places. From your UI to database, there is a long way. So you might go to database and find your five reservation or 5 places, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it is the this UI bug right away. Because how do we know? Yes, yes. So we need to try to find. We need to trace it. We need to trace it closely, because how our app, how my Looking Bass UI side communicates with the backend. What kind of tool does it use? Apparently, if I go and log in, it's not querying the database directly, right? So it does use API. And what does it mean? Like, for example, what do you think, if we speak about our places, what kind of request my Looking Bass is making at this moment? We know what kind of request we have, what kind of methods we have in API. We have get, we have post, we have put, or also patch. So they are sort of the same, not exactly, but the same. And then we have delete. So we can, there is not that many, right? So get, post, put, page, delete. And you think that when I'm an application, I'm Looking Bass app, I know what user are currently, what user are currently logged in. What kind of method you think that okay, so Alexander, Max, and Dmitry suggested we are using get method. So we want to get those places for my user, right? Why I'm cap locking? So for the user. So which means that there is some API call and we are going to see it that is happening. And so my application is asking the backend, hey backend, so this is the user I have. Can you get me the user's places? What happens after that, do you think? So my app is using this API request and get those places. What happens after that? Yeah, but how response is generated? Like, what do you think happening? So I'm saying, give me places. What backend is doing for me? How does it get those places? Before it can send it back to me, it will go and check where it's going to grab the information about those places. Where it's in the database, of course. So which basically means once my app is executing this request asking for places for a particular user, what is happening behind the scenes is that my on the back end select places from, I don't know, okay, so select probably place from let's say places, let's say our table called places. Then what? what do you think is happening after this? So I'm selecting place so that I have list of places from the table of places. Should I specify my request somehow? I don't know how it actually called this, how they call this table in Looking Bass, and we'll just hypothetically think what is going on here. Can I narrow my search? Because what is going to happen if I just go like that? If I do not narrow my search, what is going to happen? It's probably or username, or most likely it's looking by user ID. So where user ID is equal to something something. It narrows the search because otherwise it's going to return places for every user, right? So well, okay. And do you think that our backend developers might, well, this is an oversimplified example, oversimplified. But do you think there is a chance our backend developer can make a mistake in the query and forget something, or do not group something, right? So it's like the way I wrote it, it sounds like we're querying just one table, but we might have to query multiple tables. And our developers are humans; they also can make a mistake. So with my get places, if I manually go to database, if I as a QA see, well, I do not see all of them. Let me check database directly, like right away, and I'm receiving my 5, right? But it doesn't prove me anything, because what if I wrote my query correctly, but my developer did not wrote the query correctly? So I should have started my debugging with trying to figure out what is my app requesting actually. Does it actually request places? Because what if my app is requesting something else? What if I have problems with my API call? What if my app, instead of get places, for some reason does post places or delete places, or something like this? I mean, like, what if I have the problem with what is my app is asking for? And then what my developer might write might write the query that have some issues, and so the query does not return the accurate results, right? Or a lot of things can happen. And to actually illustrate this real life pain, because it's not 100% always obvious whose fault is that, I do love this picture. This is actually the series of pictures. There are 7 of those, and I can share the whole version of it that explains IT job with an example of the broken light bulb. And my favorite part here, of course, is front end versus back end developer. So where the front end developer sees that the light bulb is broken, covers light bulb with yellow paint, and tells developer that back end developer that it works, but only during the day. And then there is a lot of back and forth with different other roles. And the end, backend developer realized that he forgot to deploy a light into database, but keep calm and blames front end. So that's exactly what's happening. It's very difficult to figure out whose fault is that in the first place, because we might have issues in many different places. And what are those places? So we might be not sending any request. Like, for example, looking bus, like what we want to check when we debug situation like that. Did my app even send the request? Did my app even requested something again? Maybe I'm seeing 3 because it's something coming from cache, and my app do not make another request every time when I am going to my places screen, right? So did we send the request? And if we did send the request, was this request correct? Did I actually requested places? Did I actually requested places for my for particular user, or I somehow got hard-coded user ID and it's not my current user? And if the request was correct, Did the server fail? Or maybe did the network fail? Because we are using the internet connection. So we might have some interruption on the way, and the network could fail. We are using, what kind of protocol we are using when we communicate with our backend, when our app communicates with the backend? Like, I would say most of the time, because there will be some exceptions. HTTPS, exactly. We're using HTTPS, and this apparently requires some network, otherwise it's not going to work. So if maybe the network failed, and if did we receive any response? Well, what could happen with my places? Say I have requested this. I'm looking bus app. I requested places for the user. Nothing, but nothing came back. Just no response was sent from the server. And I still see those three that were cached from the last time. Like if we are caching, like hypothetically. So if I go to database directly, and find out that there are 5, well, it's still not showing me where the problem is. Okay, so but if I receive the response from the server, was the response correct? Did I receive 5 as well? Or maybe I'm receiving 3, and maybe I'm receiving 3 because my developer made a mistake in a SQL query, right? And if I received it, if I receive 5, if everything is fine, maybe I'm failing to show all results. Maybe my developer limited the number of entry in a particular table view to be 3 instead of as many as defined by requirements. And that's why we're not showing everything. So because there is a communication between two parties, it can fail in many different ways. It's like two people trying to communicate with one another, but one just didn't ask a question that he or she was interested in, or ask it in a way that it was not understandable to the second person in this conversation, or second person just didn't pay attention at this moment, and that's why the second person failed to receive my question. Or maybe I was whispering or something else was so loud around us that the second person just didn't hear me, like some sort of interruption here. And then so on and so forth. We can think about it as communication between two people that could fail, and it could fail for many reasons. We're not blaming one person or the other right away. We're just trying to figure whose fault it could be. Like what can be that impediment, that blocker on the way? Well, Postman. Can Postman help us? Here to figure out what's going on? And if yes, so we have, did we send? So can it help us? Yeah, okay. So I agree with you. It can help us. Let me move it, your chat here. It can, but can it help us with every question that we are asking? No. Did we send the request? Does Postman know if I send the request? No, it doesn't, right? Because what is Postman? Postman is just a tool that I can use to talk to the backend with API, right? So using application programming interface, I can communicate with the backend, playing the role of my application. Does it make sense? So Postman is me pretending that I am an app. I'm asking the question I'm asking backend, I'm requesting some data or posting some data to backend without having any UI. I am an application at this moment, right? Postman starts with line 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did we receive a response? Yes. Somewhere here. And was it correct? We do not know. Well, I don't know. Well, did we receive? Was the response correct? Well, yeah, we can figure out was it correct or not. Yes. And again, we do not know if the client failed to handle. So we basically with the Postman can only No, only can answer these two questions. If I request my places for the user, did I receive? Am I receiving a response? And if I'm receiving the response, if my response is correct, am I receiving 5? Or I'm not receiving 5? Right? Make sense? So Postman is a great help. But it is a great help in a different situations, and situations could be something like, again, you do not yet have UI, and you just want to check, and backend is already here, so API is already here. You can just check if API is working well before it got connected to UI. So it just testing earlier in the testing the feature earlier. And other case would be you can use Postman and you can create collection that can help you to generate data. For example, instead of going, let's say I need to run my regression tests, and for that I need an account that would be having multiple reservations and multiple places and things like that. Well, yeah, I can of course go ahead and create all this data manually before I will run my regression tests, some of them, or I can create a collection that will just go ahead and generate this data for me. It will create a few places, and it will create few reservations for me, and so I can use Postman to help me, and Postman's collections, and that would help me to generate some data for my testing. Yeah. But if we're speaking about that you are the person that are not working with backend team exclusively, you are actually working with mobile application or web-based application, then you will be using Postman, but just not that often that you could think. So that's exactly why I'm saying that if you try to run HANA's collections and run every request one by one or as a collection, create new collection, it's going to be sort of enough for now. That's exactly why I'm saying don't worry. Just once she shares her collection she was using yesterday, you can try to do it yourself, and I'm very much sure that you will be able to figure. Well, but I've heard some of you at some point. I just seen chat randomly. It's not like I'm reading chat every moment, but I've seen some of you during one of the sessions were saying that Postman is man in the middle. Well, no, Postman is not man in the middle because it has no idea what was going on or what is going on on the front end side. It's just tool where I, as a tester, can play the role of my app and request data from server on behalf of my application. But, well, I want to actually be able to know more. And the questions that you're currently seeing on my screen, those questions are not defined by me. It's not me who defined that very well. It is actually a person whose name is Carl von Rendo. He lives in New Zealand, and he is a developer with many years of experience. He started like more than 20 years ago as a web app developer. And when he started, there was no Chrome, for example, or no Safari. Everything was very primitive, and there was no good debugging tools. How can I nowadays can check if I have any issues with my requests for web-based application? Where I can go? I can go into DevTools, of course. I can just go to DevTools, inspect, and in this place. Where are my DevTools? DevTools. Here we go. So I can go and there are multiple tabs: element, console, source, network, performance, memory, and there are a few more. And I can go to my network tab. I can examine which endpoint I was trying to hit, what is my status code, and what time, how much time did it take, etc. So I can check it here. But he couldn't He couldn't because at that moment there was no such a thing as Chrome DevTools, because there was no such a thing as Chrome. So he wanted to create some man in the middle who will be helping him to debug his web-based app, to figure out why he doesn't see things that he would expect to see and what is failing, for example. Because without this tool, it's very much, it's like a lot of frustration. And and he created Charles Proxy. Wow. So I have a question. Do you understand the term proxy? Do you understand what it means? Or we can watch 4 minutes video that will explain it. And usually we watch it with students. Then it brings everyone at the same page. And do you also, okay, I mean, usually I do not ask. I don't know why I'm asking. I should just have to go ahead and do this. So I actually show 2 videos. One is explaining what is SSL, TSL, HTTP, and HTTPS, and 6-minute video, and then what is proxy. I think it explained very well. So let's go ahead and watch both of them. It's really gonna help us to understand where we are. Okay? So I'm just going to start the video.
Good grammar and spelling are important, but you want to write essays that inspire, messages that forge.
Skipping.
Hello, everyone. In this video, we're going to talk about HTTP, secure HTTP, and SSL. Now, HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Now, this is probably the most widely used protocol in the world today. HTTP is the protocol that is used for viewing web pages on the internet. So when you type in a web address like google.com, you'll notice that HTTP is automatically added at the beginning of the web address. And this indicates that you are now using HTTP to retrieve this web page. Now, in standard HTTP, all the information is sent in clear text. So all the information that is exchanged between your computer and that web server, which includes any text that you type on that website, that information is transferred over the public internet. And because it's transferred in clear text, it's vulnerable to anybody who wants it, such as hackers. Now, normally this would not be a big deal if you were just browsing regular websites and no sensitive data such as passwords or credit card information are being used. But if you were to type in personal sensitive data like your name, address, phone number, passwords, or credit card information, that sensitive data goes from your computer and then it has to travel across the public internet to get to that web server. And this makes your data vulnerable because a hacker that's somewhere on the internet can listen in as that data is being transferred and steal your information. So as you can see, this hacker is stealing personal information as it's traveling over the internet. So he has a name, phone number, address, credit card numbers, and so on. So this is a problem as far as security. And this is why HTTPS was developed. HTTPS stands for Secure Hypertext Transfer Protocol. And this is HTTP with a security feature. Secure HTTP encrypts the data that is being retrieved by HTTP. It ensures that all the data that's being transferred over the internet between computers and servers is secure by making the data impossible to read. And it does this by using encryption algorithms to scramble the data that's being transferred. So for example, if you were to go to a website that requires you to enter personal information such as passwords or credit card numbers, you will notice that an S will be added to the HTTP in the web address. And this S indicates that you are now using secure HTTP and have entered a secure website where sensitive data is going to be passed and that data is going to be protected. And in addition to the S being added, a lot of web browsers will also show a padlock symbol in the address bar to indicate that secure HTTP is being used. So by using secure HTTP, all the data, which includes anything that you type, is no longer sent in clear text. it's scrambled in an unreadable form as it travels across the internet. So if a hacker were to try and steal your information, he would get a bunch of meaningless data because the data is encrypted and the hacker would not be able to crack the encryption to unscramble the data. Now, secure HTTP protects the data by using one of two protocols, and one of these protocols is SSL. SSL, or Secure Sockets Layer, is a protocol that's used to ensure security on the internet. It uses public key encryption to secure data. So basically, this is how SSL works. So when a computer connects to a website that's using SSL, the computer's web browser will ask the website to identify itself. Then the web server will send the computer a copy of its SSL certificate. An SSL certificate is a small digital certificate that is used to authenticate the identity of a website. Basically, it's used to let your computer know that the website you're visiting is trustworthy. So then the computer's browser will check to make sure that it trusts the certificate, and if it does, it will send a message to the web server. Then after, the web server will respond back with an acknowledgement so an SSL session can proceed. Then after all these steps are complete, encrypted data can now be exchanged between your computer and the web server. And the other protocol that secure HTTP can use is called TLS. TLS, or Transport Layer Security, is the latest industry standard cryptographic protocol. It is the successor to SSL, and it's based on the same specifications. And like SSL, it also authenticates the server, client, and encrypts the data. It's also important to point out that a lot of websites are now using secure HTTP by default on their websites, regardless if sensitive data is going to be exchanged or not. And a lot of this has to do with Google, because Google is now flagging websites as not secure if they are not protected with SSL. And if a website is not SSL protected, Google will penalize that website in their search rankings. So that's why now, if you go to any major website, you'll notice that secure HTTP is being used rather than standard HTTP. And if you're interested in getting an SSL certificate for your website, I do have a link in the description below for an up to 30.
Yeah, so I'm not personally interested, but if you are, then you can check this video because you have link to the notes. Well, why did I show it to you? First of all, yeah, so we know that our application communicates with backend using HTTPS protocol, and the communication between 2 points are happening only if those are trusted machines, right? So certificates. I'm showing this among other things for you to understand why, when you are going to configure your Charles proxy, you are going to actually install SSL certificate, Charles SSL certificate. So you are installing that so that your Charles is trusted. Otherwise, if you're gonna put Charles as a man in the middle, as a proxy, then the websites are going to say, well, I'm sorry, but I'm not responding to you. I have no idea who you are. So that's why you are going to install certificates as per instructions that are in the notes. I'm going to walk you through instructions as well. And so let's spend 4 more minutes and learn what is proxy and how does it work.
Potential for streaming TV. Move.
What is a proxy server? So that is the topic of this video. Now, a proxy server is a server that retrieves data out on the internet, such as a web page, on behalf of a user. So for example, normally when a computer wants to view a web page out on the internet, you would just open up a web browser and then type in the address and retrieve that web page from its web server. Now, when you go through a proxy server, the proxy server will act like a middleman and will retrieve that web page for you. So now when you want to go to a website, the proxy server receives the request from your computer, and the proxy server will directly retrieve the web page on your behalf and then send it to your computer. So the question is, why would you want to use a proxy server? Well, a proxy has several benefits, and one benefit is privacy, because it allows you to surf the internet anonymously, because it hides your IP address. Because without using a proxy, and when you visit a website, your public IP address is visible, so certain people can know which websites you're visiting. But when you use a proxy, your IP address becomes invisible, because as the proxy server is retrieving the web page for you, only the IP address of the proxy server can be seen viewing the web page. So your IP address stops here, and then the proxy IP does the rest of the work. And another benefit of using a proxy server is speed. So for example, if a company uses a proxy server, and whenever a user wants to retrieve a web page, the proxy server will retrieve the web page from the internet on behalf of the user, and then it'll store that web page into a centralized cache database. So if another user on a different computer goes to a web page that has been stored in the proxy database, the proxy server doesn't have to go out on the internet to retrieve the web page. It can simply retrieve it from its database and then send it to the user. So this makes web page retrieval much faster. And another benefit of this is that it saves bandwidth, because a proxy server reduces the need to go out on the internet to retrieve data, because it already has that data stored in its database. And another benefit of a proxy is activity logging. Now, a lot of companies will use a proxy to keep track of what websites their employees are looking at. So when a company's employees are surfing the internet, the proxy will keep a record of what websites they're visiting and how long they were on those websites. And in addition, a company can also configure the proxy to block certain websites to keep their employees from visiting them. Now, there's one notable thing that a proxy server can't do, and that is encrypt data as you surf the internet. And when data is not encrypted, the data can be intercepted by hackers, ISPs, or governments with the proper equipment. So this is where a VPN comes in. A VPN, or virtual private network, not only hides your IP address, but it also encrypts the data that's being transferred between your computer and the internet. So any activity that you do on the internet, such as viewing web pages or transferring files, the data is encrypted and kept private when using a VPN, and no logging is involved.
Well, yeah, no logging is involved. It's already about VPN, so you again have access to this link as well. And I do not know the answer to the last question. Could we consider Tunnelbear as a mobile proxy? Because I do not know what the tool is. But let's get back to to Charles proxy. So basically, this person who created this video explained us 4 benefits of proxy, and Charles proxy is just taking advantage of one of the abilities of proxy servers, and this ability was activity logging. So Charles proxy, what it does, it sits in the middle and it records the activity. It records communication between client and server, and I can see it in real time, and it helps me to identify the issue. Well, how does it look? How Charles proxy looks? And why didn't I ask you to install it in advance so that you can follow me? Because I always do this. First, I show how it works to make people to fall in love with this. And after that, I'm pointing out where you can find recorded instruction, how to configure that. Because if we would start with configuration, you would hate it before you know it. It is, again, when you do it first time, you might be, there will be a lot of frustration Just keep following the videos that are recorded for you and that are posted in the notes. Don't do it now though, because it takes time. And if you will be showing me a screenshot from Charles Proxy saying it's not working, I'm not going to be answering these comments, because the goal today is not follow me. The goal today is to fall in love. Okay, let's fall in love. How does it look? It looks like this. And when I start my Charles Proxy, first of all, Charles Proxy is not free, but it has 30 days trial. But even after trial, the only thing that is going to happen with you is Charles Proxy is going to shut down every 30 minutes. And so you will just restart it. So 30 minutes is enough for practicing. You will just restart it again and you will keep working. You can buy a license. The lifetime license costs $50. I do have license apparently, but if you do not buy it, as I said, 30 minutes should be enough for you to practice and just restart it again. So I started my Charles Proxy, and we see some random entries over here. What is happening right now? So right now, my Charles Proxy is trying to log something that is going on my computer. I do not want that. I want to focus on my mobile devices. I do not care, even though you can use Charles Proxy for your web-based application testing as well. You're more than welcome to do this. I'm here to show you how does it work with mobile applications. So in order to get rid of traffic from my computer, because it's just like extra information that I do not need, I can go ahead and go to proxy and uncheck Mac OS proxy. And in this case, there will be no interference and nothing should be happening. So what's happening right now is actually coming from my emulator that is up and running already. So in order to be able to read data, I should go through some configuration steps. I will walk you through those steps at the end by showing you where you can find the videos. I would have to install Charles Certificate, Ssl Certificate on my computer for my Charles to be trusted by outside worlds. And that's exactly why we actually watched the first video. In meantime, so the main purpose of Charles is to help us to answer. Can I interrupt myself and ask you a question? Do you hear my cat? Should I be worried about it, or you do not hear my cat meowing? Okay, sorry about that. So in order to do it, in order to answer our 7 questions that we pointed out, I can use Charles and I can trace activity for my application. So let me erase everything. So this little thing helps me to erase my traffic. And I'm going to open up my emulator that is already configured. It also has another Charles certificate. I have one on my computer and one on device, so that they can communicate and trust one another. So I am going to go ahead and log in as a guest. And as I logged in as a guest, you see how in Charles, in real time, I'm not doing anything. I'm not using a Postman. I'm not trying to communicate to the backend myself on behalf of my application. What is actually happening? I'm here watching what is going on behind the scenes. I tap this login as a guest button, and right after that, there are few calls were executed. So we are logged in as a guest, and I can highlight it. If I highlight it, I have different types of data representations or piece of information that I might need. I have, first of all, overview. It shows me, well, we hit this URL. We completed this request. The response code is 200. We also see 200 here. 200 means what? 200 means okay. Everything is fine. Everything is expected. So 200 is okay. We are good. Also, what I can see here is I can see timing. when my request started, when it ended, when the response started, when it ended, and what was the duration of this communication. Like I requested and I received response. How long did it take? It's sometimes when you are, say, you are working on the Looking Bus app, hypothetically, and every time you go to my places screen, it takes a lot of time to get loaded. Well, you cannot file the bug report saying it takes a lot of time. You need to prove it, right? So yeah, of course you can record video, but what you also can do, you can run charts, and you can have exact number. How long does it take? You can run it multiple times and to say on average it takes such and such amount of time. So this is not a bad number, that's fine. But sometimes it really takes a lot of time, and that's how I prove to. That's what I do when I attach, when I file bug like that. I would attach charts also to show how long did it take. And so the next would be the next request that gets executed. Oh, sorry. So overview. Then I can actually go ahead and check content. Probably most of the time you're gonna be in this tab, content. In the content tab, you can see what was sent to the server. My app was saying, hey, I'm trying to log in as this randomly generated user, and my user bypassing CAPTCHA. So I'm logging in as a guest. To log in as a guest, I need to randomly generated username and saying that I'm bypassing CAPTCHA. And this is what my server says back. It says, well, welcome, dear guest user. This is your user key. Well, my endpoint user is not going to see that much. This is your token to be eligible to communicate with the app, and so on and so forth. So, and if we move to the second one, we see how, even though I, as a user, did not go to my account screen, right? Because I can go to my account. It sounds like, well, user info, it sounds like something that is getting requested if the user goes to his or her account. But in fact, when you log in into the app, even though you're not going to your account, the application is actually getting the information about your user right away. It's just programmed like that. And if I highlight this request and go to the content here, we see how this time my application right away passes this token that was generated during login, and it allows to receive the information about the user, which is not that meaningful because it just says that I am a guest. This is my auto-generated email, because we know that in Looking Bus, email is our unique identifier, and without it, I cannot log in. So that's why the system generates for the guest those emails. We can see when I log in first time, last time, and this is my user ID. Basically, this is it. So this is what is happening, and that's how Charles recording my communication. So let's go check. Let me go check. This is a very good for doing a bunch of things, and as I said, so let's keep following along. Reserve engineering tool. Can you rephrase it? So, my cat. So let's go see what's gonna happen after that. So let's say I'm going to go to my places, and so this is even though it's a guest user, it's still saved on this device because I was as a guest user a couple of times here, and that's exactly why I have places. Let's find this call. In order to filter out extra information that I do not need, I can use filter feature. I know that if I will say type Looking Bus in the filter, it will only return me entries that are related to this host name. So it's just filtering, like normal filtering. And so I'm using this to filter and keep focusing on our Looking Bus communication to the backend. This is me requesting places. This is exactly what I would do if I go to my app and see 3 instead of 5, I will just go to Charles, and I will, while my child is up and running, I will go to my places screen, and Charles will help me to figure out, yes, Tanya, so this is what we was sent over to the server, and this is what we're requesting. We're requesting the looking bus places get user places. Well, in some apps that will be another slash and that there will be user ID, but looking bus approaches it differently. It sends my sort of username and sort of password, and once it hits the server queries the information for my user and returns my empty home, empty work, and my information about this Dynex Garden Hotel that we can see on the screen as well. So basically, Charles just here a man in the middle that reveals all the secrets. It shows me what did I send, what did I ask for. Actually, it would help me to make sure maybe I'm not getting what I'm supposed to get because my user key that I'm sending something cached from my previous user, so something is incorrect with my user key, and that's why I'm not getting what I'm supposed to see. So it could be a possibility as well. And hypothetically, let me get back to chat for a moment. Max is asking if it is MongoDB. Max is asking if it is MongoDB because that's how you would see information in Mongo. You will see it in, you might choose the format, but most likely you're going to use your info as JSON, in a JSON format. It's not necessarily, I do not know if Looking Bass is using Mongo, which is NoSQL database, or it uses something from SQL based. And I believe they use SQL based. So no, it's not necessarily, it's just how during the communication, during these API calls, how data is formatted. Behind the scene, my backend code can execute a SQL query in a SQL-based database, let's say MySQL or Oracle. But then it will, whatever it gets back, it will package it, it will parse it into JSON format and send it back to me. Multiple at the same time? I think so. And also you can repeat the same, you can, yeah, I will answer this, but you can, there is a feature where you can set the particular request to be repeated the number of times you want. So that's where you sort of put some stress on your system. Okay, and so this is what I get. Let's hypothetically, okay, no hypothetically, whatever. So I want to file a bug report against my let's say I see the bug, and for example, hypothetically, my Dynex hotel is not on the list on UI side. I want to file a bug report against my mobile developer. And how can I prove to my mobile developer that we should show this Dynex and he or she is not showing anything? Maybe there is a mistake in the code and when defined places are showing in my places, but custom are not showing. Could it be the truth? It could be the truth. So how can I support my bug report? I can, of course, provide a screenshot, but it's not enough. I can provide a result of my query, but again, it's not enough. The best way to prove to my mobile developer that there is something coming up from server that we need to show, and we are failing to show it, is to add charge log to my bug report. How do I add charge logs? It's super simple. You're gonna love it. It's nothing as ADB logcat or even logs in iOS. So basically, yes, I can see that it's here. What are my options? Well, I can copy URL into text file, then copy my request body into text file and copy my answer. I mean, like my results into text file, which is a pain because, well, what if I want to show more information? What was happening before that? So Charles is super simple here. In order to save my log, I just need to go to File, and I have two options: Save Session or Save Session As. So I'm just going to go ahead and say Save Session As, and I will call my session. I will call my session May 18, and then I have to provide extension, which is CHLS. So this is a special file, so it's extension for Charles, and I'm going to save my log. I saved my log. It's on my computer. It's time to attach it to my bug report. Say I have attached it to my bug report to Jira. Jira is okay accepting those files, those file types. It's not gonna complain. It's supported file type. And then I file my bug. It's time for me to go to lunch. I'm closing my Charles proxy and I'm going to lunch. In meantime, my developer got my bug assigned, and he or she downloaded this file from the bug report, and he or she goes to whenever it was downloaded, and I have downloaded onto my desktop, I guess, and then API, I guess, and then somewhere here. So this is my log. So why data is not encrypted? Because I will explain. It's a good question. I like it. Give me a moment. Let me can finish up this part. So Charles downloaded from my bug report. So what is going to happen? So how my developer is going to read this file? So he or she is just going to double click on my file, and what is going to happen? My file, my log, is going to get open in Charles proxy inside the app itself. Let's see how it's gonna look. My computer is a little bit slow, but let's be patient. And what we can see here, now I have two tabs. One is the current session tab, like we just been seeing, and the other one is my log. So my developer is going to receive information and basically see everything that I was experiencing when I was testing my application. If we take a look at the time, this is me doing this guest login, user info, another user info, then bunch of crap. Let's filter this out. It's also filterable. And this is my places. And so my developer will be convinced because here is a charge log. And we have this Dynax coming from backend, but we are not showing, for example, it in the app. So for developers and testers, collecting charge logs is a piece of cake. It's very simple, but it's very helpful. And Victor is asking, why data is not encrypted? Well, yeah, because I did all the configuration. I did all the configuration. I have downloaded and installed Ssl Certificate on my computer, so that I am trusted to outside world is trusting me, even though I am using Ssl, because Ssl is legit known tool. So companies are aware about its existence. So not everything will be trusting Ssl, and I will show you later which one would not be possible and how it's not going to be possible. But in general, Ssl is a tool that is well known. And if websites or apps sees the request coming with this source with trusted certificate, that's why it gets. I mean, they trust one another. They send encrypted data, but then Ssl decrypts it for us. So again, you're gonna all see it in your video how to set up things. But basically, if I go ahead and disable SSL proxying, I will stop seeing decrypted data. Currently, my SSL proxying is enabled, and that's why I am seeing the data like this purely. Make sense? Also, and it only applies to Android versions of the app. Android developers will provide you with a special build, special debuggable build that you can use with Charles Proxy. They would have to add network security configuration file into Android project in order for you to be able to read traffic for your app in Charles Proxy. So production versions do not have this. It's only going to be in your testing versions, in your debug builds, and only if developers has added it. So 100% chance, well, 99, your test versions of your app that you're going to test will be already configured to be used with Android version. Because iOS does not require that. Only Android does require that. And without this special build, you won't be able to see the traffic. Let me go back to chat. Is there any chance to install Charles Proxy on iOS or connect to Xcode? So Charles Proxy is installable on your machine in order to, first of all, use the Charles Proxy desktop app, of course, or debug your web-based applications, as well as we're not in. Well, okay, I understand the question now. You go ahead of. I mean, I very much appreciate you reading notes, but we are going to cover that. Yes, I can install Charles Proxy as a tool on my iOS device, but it has some limitations. But I will talk about that for sure. And you do not need to connect it to Xcode. So what we are looking right now at, we are looking at Charles Proxy for desktop. So it's desktop application. Charles Proxy is available as an application for iOS devices in App Store. And I will show you how it looks. But as of now, let's stick with desktop version because iOS version has limitations. It's cool in some extent, but it covers some other scenarios. But we can do more fun here in the desktop app. So this is how my developer will receive the log. Easy peasy, right? I honestly have to tell that Postman introduced, so they changed UI, and I'm a little bit lost here. So they introduced feature that called Postman Interceptor. It is like, I don't know, 6 months, 1 year old. I don't exactly remember. I do remember Icon was here. So Postman Interceptor is sort of the same thing. I mean, it's trying to do the same job as Charles does. You can turn on Postman Interceptor, and it will also record your traffic, your communication between your web app and mobile app and your backend. Honestly, I just seen tutorial how to use it, but I did not use it myself because, well, logging is just logging in chart. So what we can do, how to collect logs in charts. So this is like, I don't know, 20% of why you open charts, or why I have my charts up and running 80% of the time at work. And only 20% of this time is I want to collect logs because I'm doing other things, other cool things that are not possible to do with Postman Interceptor even. So reading the traffic is good. Or I can, if we speak about web-based application, I can read traffic in DevTools, right? So why do I need to bother about charts? Because other features of charts are super, super cool. First of all, let's cover this quickly because I'm not going to demo this. But you can actually change network condition using charts. So we've learned how to do it in our devices, right? And we remember that we have some issues with Android devices because they just do not have this feature of playing with network condition on device, and we have to figure out how to do it. Well, you can use Charles. And how would you do this? In the proxy part, you will find two options that are related to what I'm talking about: start throttling and throttle settings. So first of all, of course, you might want to visit settings. And in settings, it looks very familiar with as what we've seen with iOS configuration, with iOS devices, right? So if I check enable this, I can first of all choose if I want to change the speed change the network condition for all hosts that I'm hitting, like every app that is visible to my charts. Or I want to be very much specific and only target one application. In this case, I would have to provide the host name and basically the host name, period. So then I have an option to change my network condition here. And of course, I can also define my own profile. Like, it looks very similar to what we've seen when we've been talking about it while we're covering extra scenarios and testing of mobile applications. So now you know how you can do this against your Android app. One of the options. But besides that, so it's cool, but not something that not why I love Charles. So let's say we do you have any questions about this part, or it is clear about this throttling part, or about how to get logs? Well, is it reasonable to compare Postman with Charles? I am not. No, it's not reasonable. I am comparing this here and trying to explain to you. It's not going to be an interview question, I'm pretty sure. It's not going to be something that you're going to discuss at work. It's just for you to understand what's the difference, because you might get confused. Some of you might get confused and say, "Hey, I don't understand. We just did something similar. I've seen something similar with Hannah yesterday, and now Tanya is promoting something else. So they are different things, and I just want to point out the difference. So I hope it's clear, and I'm going to continue. Charles has 3 features that are very cool that I am using a lot, and you are going to use a lot if you are going to work with Charles and if you are going to work on mobile apps, for instance. You might want to use it a lot. And it's not only about mobile, it's those guys rewrite and map local cool features to actually do your testing of your web-based application. So let's hypothetically say that I am testing. So hypothetically, my requirements for looking bus say that, hey, we are showing no more than 30 places under my places. So what would be my test data? Can you help me to define it? I don't know where to define it. Let's go there. Okay, we're going to talk about. Okay, where can you help me with numbers? Maximum of places that I can show in my looking bus application would be 30. Yeah, I'm going to go with 30, and then I'm going to go with 31. Beautiful. I can also go with 0 just to verify that if I have 0 custom places, well, I cannot have 0. I have home and work for sure. In any case, forget about home and work. I just want to verify that no more than 30. So I'm going to get 30, and I'm going to get 31. And Dmitry is saying to see which one disappears, or let's say our requirements just disabling should disable this add button once I have 30, unless I will delete something, which is not going to be the best user experience. Or if I tap this button when I'm trying to create the 31st, I would have a pop-up or dialogue saying, or alert message saying that, hey, Tanya, 30 is the maximum, you've reached your maximum, please delete something. So something like that, depending on our requirements. Well, what are my options? How I can execute this test case? We are talking about that we just came up with requirements that no more than 30 places should be editable to this screen, and also no more than 30 we should show. Well, I have my test case, I have my test data. What manually? So I have to either manually create those guys right from the app, or I just mentioned that I can actually go ahead and let me see. Let's go see how this request is getting executed. If I'm adding new place, let's say add search for a place. Search for a place. Search for a place. Let's say it doesn't Red Rockway, San Francisco. So here we go, and let's call it, I don't know, a random place. I'm hitting save. And where is my ad? Looking bus. Let's see if it got added. Let's see if it got added. Why it didn't get added? So there are two potential things. Well, it didn't get added, unfortunately. We do not know why, so maybe they have a bug. I don't know. So I was trying to add the place, but I did not see any post request or actually maybe put request to update my user places. So I did not see it here. Okay, let's say Partnov Computer School. Will not find anything. Okay, but let's find this. Palo Alta. So I'm just going to add this random place and see if it's gonna get added actually random. So I would expect some call to be happening to backend to update database, to insert, well, not to insert, to update my database. And it's not happening. So we just encountered into the bug here, because I'm hitting save, but no actual call is happening. So I'm not able to add a new location for whatever reason, at least in Android application. No. All right. So in any case, so my options are, I can go ahead and create it manually if I can, right? If Looking Bus is in the mood, or I can create it with the help of Postman. I can actually run the same request and send the information, like bunch of places to my backend, and so they're all gonna be added. And it's very valuable approach. I agree with that. Then I would add 31st, but then I should not forget to delete those, right? So it's complicated, because once it is inside database, it is inside database unless I will delete it. And sometimes I want to delete everything, so I would have to go ahead and then delete those guys. Well, I want to still have common work, right? For example, so I cannot just go and delete all of them. I would have to figure out the best way to delete them from database. So it's also could be slightly inconvenient or time consuming. So I can either generate data with Postman. I can actually go ahead and insert into database directly. So if I want to insert something into database, do you know what would be command instead of select? I want to make changes in a table. Oi, Dmitry, have I told you guys you are the best? Have I told you that? Have I told you that? Looking, because apparently I'm looking at the wrong place. And yeah, apparently I was looking at the wrong place. I was looking at my May 18 tab. Let's close it so that I do not confuse myself. Here is my add requests, and they all failed, by the way. And they all failed. Why? It says 401. What does 401 mean before we go into details? And Dmitry, you are absolutely right. Update would be the keyword instead of select if I want to update my table. So what was my question? So we are looking bus. What is 401 mean? What is 401? What does it mean? I unauthorized. Yeah, you're right. Unauthorized. 401 means unauthorized. Let's go check in the content what was happening with me. It says error. Please log in first. And I have a question to look in bus. So now we still have a bug here. I am a guest that is trying to add a place. I have one already. And well, if you want me to log in, and the server actually replying with 401 status, it goes back to my app and say, hey, app, I cannot add anything because this user should log in first. Well, so my backend communicates it clearly to my application. My application doesn't communicate anything back to user. So we still have a bug. But in our bug report, like if you did not know how to use charts, or if you did not know how things are working and how they communicate, your bug report, will be saying something like, that's what I see a lot when we in a project here, or I'm surprised to see bug report titles like these ones when I am at work and my colleague report something like that. So basically, we could see the bug report title and bug report being about that clicking save on add place dialog does nothing. I mean, literally, that would be a bug report if you do not know about charts, and if you do not know how to figure out whose fault is that. Well, it doesn't do anything. So my first assumption when I was looking at the wrong place was that I'm not actually posting anything, and I'm not making a request as an application. It could be a possibility. In this case, my bug report title would be clearly saying, clicking save does not trigger such and such a request. And now, as you find me, redirected me to the right place, and we can see that we're actually making the request, but we are not adding any. We cannot add anything because we need to log in first. And in this case, my app just failing to show me a proper error message to explain to me as a user why my place is not getting added. So I should have an UI message in form of snack bar, toast, dialog, alert that I need to get and go ahead and go log in first before adding places. So this is, at least we just listed two examples how does nothing, what does nothing can be actually, right? And I really want you to be that QA who not just saying does nothing, but who says, well, the app doesn't make any request, or the app receives the error message but doesn't show any relevant one to the user. So that's exactly where charts can help you. Are you start loving this one? All right. But we actually, because of this issue, we stepped out a little bit. So the thing is that, okay, we got a couple of options. I can insert into database, I can update database, right? I can use Postman and send bunch of places as my post request to add place, right? Or if I do not actually want it to be safe in a database, if the whole point of me is to verify that on this screen I can fit 30 with no issues and my screen is scrollable and everything, and the 31st is not going to get added, I can fool my application, because Charles gives us a beautiful ability to actually it's a man in the middle. What happens here? So what happens here? We send the request, right? Send the request. It went to the server, la la la, and then it came back from the server to me, but not to me directly, not to my app directly, but it first came to Charles from the server. So it came to Charles, and Charles' job is to pass it over to me, which it does, and that's why I can see it. So it reads it for me, it decrypts it for me, and it sends it to me to Tanya. Tanya is I can see it on my screen, right? So I can see it. And it also sends it to my app. So by saying I can see it in the Charles tool, and I can see it in my app. It sends it to me here. I can read it, and it sends it to my app to looking back. But because Charles sits in the middle, it can actually, before sending this to me, it can change it. I can change it. I can get in control, and I can ask Charles to actually send to the app not something that coming from the server for real, but replace it with a fake data. In this case, I'm not inserting anything into database. In this case, I'm not actually creating any places, but I'm just fooling my application. It doesn't care. Like, for example, currently what it receives is let's go to our places again. My places. My places. So get places. Well, it wants me to log in. Let me try to log out. Well, it doesn't matter. No, it matters. Log out. Log out. And I will try to log in as a user that I do have, and this user worked before I was preparing for the, when I was preparing for the class. It's just slow, so I'm going to log in as an actual user. So a whole bunch of things are getting executed here. Login, blah blah blah. By the way, guest logout. So I'm going to my places. Yeah, my places. I have logged in already. What do you want from me? Yeah, so it does have some issues around forgetting who was logged in. Let me restart the app and try again. And try again. And sorry, it's slow. Part of student login. And then I'm going to go to my places again. I hope I will not forget why it's happening. Yeah, here is my places. I'm here. I'm done. So I can make Charles to send to my app not what it actually got from backend, but something else. So I can fool my application. How I can do it? So there are a couple of ways to do so. For the longer piece of information, I suggest to use the feature that called map local. Okay, let me show you what map local is. So basically, if I go to tools, I have map local, and it's already checked for me. It's checked for a different reason. So in the map local, I can tell my application, dear app, once you hit a particular URL, once you hit a particular endpoint, instead of whatever you see from the backend, show me something else. So let's go ahead I have already have it here. Let's go ahead and create. Let's go ahead and create it. So I'm going to say remove. So I want to full my application at this get user places part. So I need to know the URL part. So I'm going to copy URL. I'm going to go to tools, map local, and I'm going to add this endpoint. Well, it says edit mapping. I have to provide my protocol type, which is HTTP or HTTPS, my host name, which is we can figure out from here, my port number. Well, port number is default port number is 443. You can specify it here or you can leave it empty. It's gonna work anyway because it's just gonna use this default port number. And then I have to provide a pass, and pass I can figure from this. And I just copied the whole URL, so things actually quite easier. You can just paste the whole URL that you copied in any field. So I pasted it here, and if I click inside a different one, so I pasted it in host, I'm clicking inside path, whatever I just pasted got splitted accordingly. So HTTPS went to protocol, host into host field, and path into path field. You can do it manually or you can follow how I just did it, and it's gonna work. Now it is asking me for some sort of a local path. And if I click choose, I should be able to upload the file. But what kind of file I want to upload? Let me show you. I want to upload a JSON file where I'm going to have a different data set. So instead of this home, work, and my Dynah only, I want to have more places. So what you need to do is you basically will have, you can copy whatever you have for now. You can use, because the simple text editor might not work, might not support JSON extension. So Notepad++ or text on Windows or TextMate on macOS will be a better editor for you. So I'm going to go ahead and, so this is my file. I will copy and paste the actual data from the server. But I want to make more places, right? I need to have more places. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy an address and I'm going to just paste it multiple times in my file. The tricky part here is to understand from where to copy and paste. So this is the only tricky part because what we are looking at right now is it is array of objects, array of JSON objects. How do I know it's array? Because of the square bracket over here. And I have my home, even though it's not defined with an address. I have my work, it's not defined. And the third entry was this one. Those entries are separated by comma. I hope I'm not losing you here. Well, tricky part is to figure out what to copy paste, long story short. And it's not that tricky once you do it a couple of times, like, yeah, or understand the structure of data in JSON format. To make it more visible, I'm going to leave this address as it is. Here I'm going to say May in front, May 18, 1, and then so that in my tasting, oh, it's actually okay, it's 2. In my tasting, I will see exactly how many fit the screen. I need to distinguish them somehow, so that's easier for me to identify them on the screen. I mean, you can approach it anyhow. You will see how it's gonna look. So I copy pasted the data. I made multiple places instead. I want to save this file now. I'm going to go ahead and say File, Save As. And I want to save it to my computer, but I want to, of course, save it in a JSON format because that's what Charles wants from me. So that's how it shows how it passes the information. So I'm going to call it May 18 reservations. .json, and I'm going to hit save. Now, as I have my file, I'm going to close it and get back to where I was just showing to you. So again, I want to fool my application. I want Charles to send to the app what I just defined in the file instead of what is actually got grabbed from the database. So I'm going to copy my URL. I'm going to go to tools, to my map local, and I'm going to click add. I'm going to paste my URL, click outside. This is what I want to, where I want to play around. Now I want to choose my file with this information that we just created. So I'm going to select May 18 reservation JSON, and I'm going to click select. And I'm going to click OK and OK again. And just to make sure that in tools, map local is checked, because, just pay attention, it's checked over here, it's activated. Okay, it's checked. Now I'm going to come back to Looking Bus and re-request my places again. So I'm just going to go outside the screen, and let's say I'm going to go to my account, and here's my account, So I'm going to go back to my places, and ta-da! We see more. And so if I would need to run this test case, I would just I can attach this file to my test case and just use it every time I need it. I do not need to create anything. I do not need to insert anything. I do not need to delete anything afterwards. I can just fool my app. I mean, if the whole idea is to verify that on UI side, I see 30, I do not see 31st, my screen is scrollable, if I would have more data, I can just pass data to my app on behalf of my backend with help of Charles. It's super, super simple. I have so this is my Charles, and you don't have to do this. It might sound long and confusing because you've seen me doing this from the beginning, but your map locals, once you create them, they're staying here. You will just activate or deactivate a particular one, or deactivate or reactivate all of them. They're staying here forever with you. So what you can see, this is the looking button we are playing here. But the rest you are seeing, this is mine from my work. I do not have to create this from the scratch every time. I just go to map local. I select what I need to modify currently for a particular test, and so apply it, and then go back and uncheck it. So the whole thing here, once you create it, the whole thing for your test case is to check or uncheck. That's it. You don't have to insert, you don't have to delete, and you don't have to do it manually for sure. How is our love level from 1 to 5? You can do the same, whatever I'm showing to you, you can do with your web app applications. And in fact, I think that tutorials that I am sharing here, because some people like to see, some people prefer to read. So there are a few tutorials, and I think they are actually targeting, these tutorials are targeting web-based application, not mobile app. So you can see how people are doing the same thing with web. It doesn't really matter. Web or mobile doesn't matter. You just keep in mind that for Android, you would need to have special build, and it's not going to work with any production version. With iOS, things are easier. Yeah, even installing and configuring on iOS is way easier than on Android. Just one of the things. Well, yeah, and so once I'm done with my tasting, so I would have one file with 30 places and one file with 31 places. Once I'm done with my tasting, I can go ahead and unclick this button, and that's basically it. So this makes sense when you are working and you have to, you have to have, you have to send a lot of information to backend, or actually you can also full backend the same way. Not here though, in a different place. So okay, I unchecked it. Now I'm going to receive the correct number, the actual number of the reservations once I next time visit this screen, and once my application will request my places again. So see how I still have only Dynex Hotel. That's it. Well, and that's what we covered here with MapLocal. Rewrite feature is somehow similar, but I like to use rewrite when I need to check something like small, or because rewrite is just it basically achieves the same results, but it is not convenient as MapLocal, because with MapLocal you can work with file, and it's easier for you to read. With rewrite you have to copy paste everything in one field. Let me show you what's the field. Okay, so rewrite lives also under tools, and I also have it checked. And you know, some of them are from, actually a bunch of them, actually all of them are from my work. So with rewrite you can turn on and off particular features in the application. For example, in Looking Bus they have this stored account. Let me go back for a moment. Log out. So see how they have stored account, and they say not yet available. Maybe it's not yet available at all, or maybe it is implemented, but they do not yet thoughtfully tested, and they do not want to show it to the user. So in this case, application can hide a particular feature behind the feature flag. You will see it at work, and Charles is again very helpful in here, because without Charles, so Charles or similar tools would be the only way for me to turn on or turn off a particular feature, saying, well, set it to true to show users, or set it to false to not to show users. So rewrite is good enough here. And some other, rewrite is very similar to what you just seen, but it just looks differently. And if you work with smaller piece of information, you can use rewrite instead of MapLocal. How to add rewrite? How does it look? Well, again, same story. I have to specify what location, what endpoint I'm going to rewrite. And let's this time rewrite user info. So I'm going to copy URL, user info, and I'm going to give it a name, user name, server error. We are going to test how our application handles server errors, because sometimes servers are failing, right? So sometimes we might receive 500. We want to make sure that if server is failing, our app is not crashing, because it is a possibility. So username server error. So I'm going to click add, and I have to specify location. Same story, I can do it manually, or I can just paste the whole URL here, click outside, it's there. I'm going to click OK, which indicates to Charles, Tanya, every time app executes this request, we need to make some modifications. What kind of modifications we can define over here? I can say add, and then I can see rewrite rules. Well, I can actually modify a bunch of things. I can modify request header or add header. There is some request without header. I do not do it usually, or remove header. So this is not something that I use a lot. I can modify body. So body means like this guy, request or response body. This is the request body. Inside this body, I'm sending information about my user. And this is a response body. Inside this body, I'm receiving information about my user, related to my user. I can choose to rewrite body, but then I have to post everything that I want to change here inside this field. And it's not because this field is limited, it's just very inconvenient to edit this field. I would not see the whole picture like I see with MapLocal inside the file. So it's yuck. I would use it to turn on feature flag, where literally you would have to have, I will show you one feature flag in a moment. So but we decided we are testing different scenario. We are testing scenario when server returns 500 status when application requests information about user. So I'm not rewriting body, I'm rewriting response status in this case. And I'm saying whatever comes from backend for real, I want it to be 500 instead. So I'm going to say, okay. So correct URL. I want it to be 500. And I know that I've checked enable rewrite. So I'm going to click OK. And let's see what's going to happen with looking bus. I'm going to start it and open it again. Take a nap. So I need to log in, of course. So I'm going to log in with my user. Boom, boom. Login. And so I am inside the application, but you can see that actually my status code has changed from 200 to 500. So we're experiencing the server error. So if I go to my account, yeah, I see no information about me because server does not return. Like server does return something, but because it's 500, my app is not consuming that. It's like my application thinks that server arrive with just an error. My application, thanks to it, doesn't show anything, but at least it's not crashing. It is a very common, it's very valuable scenario to check how your app handles server errors. And if you need 500 from the server, yeah, so good question, Max, because you really want to make sure that your app is not crashing if it receives 500 in real life. Because if server is down, your app should first of all, I would expect to any 500, I would expect this generic error message saying something went wrong, please try again. Because as of now, as a user, I see my account, it's empty. I do not understand why it's happening. Why don't you tell me on UI side with toast message that there is some sort of problem? Because my app knows exactly that there is, it doesn't know what's the problem, because 500 error from the server is so generic that, it's very hard to understand why it's happening. But it could happen, and we want to make sure that our app handles it gracefully. Well, apparently, to my perspective, Looking Bass does not handle it gracefully, because there is no error message to the user on UI side. I will just show you with a different app in a few minutes how would it be with a different app in 500. Well, okay, so that's how you can use it. You can change the response status with rewrite. You cannot change the response status with map local. Map local is the best guy to change big content. Rewrite can help you to change smaller things and more convenient because it also can change status, header, body, etc. So in real life, if you do not have Charles Proxy, well, basically, before I knew about, I've heard about Charles Proxy, but at that moment in my life, I just didn't use it. I didn't know how to use it. Nobody in Partnov school showed me how to use it. So before I met Charles, I was in a startup company, and I needed to check the scenario. Literally, we had a screen that was saying, like, we needed to verify this part. So what I did, I just write up to my backend developer saying, hey, AJ, could you please shut down QA server for a moment? I need to verify this and that. And he went ahead and he shut down the QA server for me so that I could verify this feature. Well, if I am in startup when people love one another and very forgetful, then it's fine. If I'm working in Facebook, for example, and I'm writing to my backend developer, hey, backend developer, can you shut down QA server for a moment? You know how long I'm gonna be working in Facebook after that request? Yeah, that's exactly why. It's going to be the time to pack my bag and go home. So Charles Proxy will help you with that. Yeah. So Victor is, I like the high estimation of me, of my ability to pack. So it's 3 minutes. Okay. So, and then again, don't forget to uncheck this rewrite. You can uncheck it entirely, or you can uncheck it just one of those. So username or error, I'm going to uncheck it. And for a second, I know you guys probably also recording, but just because I don't want it very much impossible to work without it. I don't know how else. Okay, so that that we covered rewrite as well. So I'm just going to put plus plus for me. So we covered rewrite. Is it clear why we would use rewrite? I know it's difficult to say when you didn't try, but from what you see. Okay, sounds good. Well, they have another feature where you can, that also can help you to modify things, to modify your requests. Maybe you want to change request, what you're requesting from the server. Maybe you want to verify that if you're requesting information not for your particular user, but for someone different, that the app, that backend actually will handle it well, and it will, you know, try to match things and will not send it back saying that you are not, not authorized. You are authorized, but you are forbidden, you know, and forbidden. What's the difference between 401 and 403? Like doing, okay, let's start with, let's go back a little bit. 403, what does it mean? So we figured out that 401 is unauthorized, but what is 403? Forbidden. What is the difference, do you know, between unauthorized and forbidden? Boom, boom. 1 second. Yes, you are absolutely right, my dear students. And I'm going to go check our, wait, I have two sharp eyes here. So unauthorized versus 4.1 versus 4.3 is unauthorized versus forbidden. And you are right. It means that, yes, I am using the right credentials, but it's not the place the user with my level of access should be. For example, if we talk about applications, let's say this the service that Michael Bartnov is asking you to fill out, this monkey survey where you are doing quizzes for him. So you have there are two types of roles here. So we have administrator who creates the survey and can see the results, right? And we have participants who can see the survey and participate, but they cannot see results, they cannot edit the survey. So they are both valid users. But if I will try to access resources that are only available to admins in this tool, but I am logged in as a user, I have different level of access, I'm going to get 403, which means forbidden. It means I have no right to see it. I'm not at that position. And what? Okay. And so I uncheck this login pass. So I want to actually now switch to the iOS from my emulator to iOS device, and show you how to use another feature. The last one I'm going to show in Charles Proxy. And hopefully everything is going to work well in terms of me broadcasting the device, and I will try to also close my emulator so it may help to speed up my computer a little bit. Launchpad, and then app mirror, app power mirror, and oh, if it's not gonna work, it's gonna be a bummer, but I hope it will. Screen mirroring, because I forgot about screen mirroring part. But let's see. Should work. Okay, so I want to go ahead, first of all, before I will start looking bus and show you the last feature, I'm going to go ahead to my settings and make sure that I have turned on proxy settings, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to read traffic. So I'm going to my Wi-Fi, and you'll have those steps in our notes and instructions and video instructions. Don't try to memorize them. I'm going to my network information, and I see configure proxy is off. I'm going to change it to manual. I'm doing it quickly because I know you have access to that, and you will be able to watch it on the video that I have recorded. Just for how to configure charts on iOS device, I'm going to hit save. Here we go. Now I'm going to go to my Looking Bus app. So let me clean everything here from our working with Android device and go back to App Mirror. And I actually need to let me move charts a little bit so that we can see both my screen and charts like this. Okay. So Looking Bus, let's just verify that everything is fine, that I can see traffic. So Looking Bus is here. Let me try to hit sign in as a guest. Agree again. So everything is working. I am able to read my traffic. All is good. So I'm going to go log out for a moment and show you something which I discovered today, which is oops, bug. So if you go in iOS, so this is what actually I'm projecting. I'm projecting device in which I don't even have any Google account set up. So in this device, I'm not using this. I'm not checking my emails on that. So there is no Google account on this, Gmail account on this device, or Google account on this device. So I'm going to try to use Google Sign In feature in Looking Bus for iOS. So I'm hitting Google Sign In. It says continue. Okay, I'm continuing. And once I'm here, once I'm on this sign-in screen, I see how they offer me to continue as Kata-VTA. Kata is one of the agencies they work with, and VTA is one of the agencies they work with. What does it mean? I've never been logged in as Kata-VTA. What does it mean here? What kind of bug they have here? I mean, apparently I do not know the password. But I can click on this. I can see lookingBus.kata2018@gmail.com. It's not even my email. I have no idea. So our developers make some oops here in Looking Bus. Oopsies. They're not watching me. They actually by accident hard-coded information, and it's not buena. So it should not be like this. So it's not they watching me. It's me now. Everyone is watching them. So that's totally a bug. In any case, we are actually switching from Looking Bus because I want to show you breakpoints feature in a different app. And this application is something that you've heard about it from me when I was giving you example how you can fail submission to a Play Store or App Store, and that could be very costly bug. And so that was talking about this application that used to call a Joy, but because one failed submission, not following guidance, why I still have user info 500 rewrite and check. Okay. So because one submission, we had to rebrand it. So I'm going to show you and explain a little bit what this app is about and how I would test one of the new features they have that I was not a part of implementation, but how would I test it? So this is the application that's called Double. So what is the idea behind Double? idea is that the creator of Double, the CEO of Double, she was working in coupon industry for years and years and years, and she figured out that this not the way things are working in commercial and advertisement are not great, because technically they spend bunch of money on those billboards or TV commercials that people just switch between channels or ignore. So she created a platform where brands like, for example, Uniqlo, they can create campaigns, and user would go ahead and watch some videos, answer trivia questions, and for that users would earn points, and they can redeem those points as gift cards, going to the movies or whatever. So I'm changing my filter from looking bus to Double, so that we are focusing on Double now, because I'm going to use Double to show you how would I use breakpoint feature here. So one of the way to boost up your points in this application that they came up just recently is to have extra points for visiting the app more often. Basically, they are trying to improve user retention. So because, for any application, it does important how many people installed you, but it's also important to look at the install-uninstall ratio, because if 1 million people downloaded and install your application, but then 900,000 uninstalled it, that you are not in a good position. And also it is important to see, to have the information to make users to return to your app, because apparently otherwise your app, it depends on your app's goal, but a lot of apps are just trying to make users to return. And so Double say, hey, you're gonna get extra points, Tanya, if you are, so the feature called my streak. So if you come every day, or like earlier, so it says in 3 days, if I come to the app 3 days in the row, I will get 5% bonus on all my points earning. So they are making me to come back every day, and they say, okay, so it sort of doesn't mean in 3 days you will get okay, because I have one here. Okay, I understand. So they have, if you are in the app 4+ days in the row, 5% bonus. If you are in the app 15+ days, 10% bonus. 30+ days, 15% bonus. Well, it's a new feature. Tanya Kancevich is assigned to test this user story. And one of the acceptance criteria in the user story would be, well, this bar is grayed out until the user hits, when the user hits 5%, so the bar should be orange up to this point. When the user hits 15 days plus days and 10%, the bar is getting orange up to this point. If the user is visiting app 30+ days in the row and reaches 15% of bonus, this bar is getting orange. My test data. Our favorite question, what is my test data? We can at least try to stick with the hitting 5%. Okay, so let's say 0, 1, 4 exactly, then 15 exactly. We're missing something in between 4 and 15. So we need either 14 or 5, so that we can verify it's not yet hitting this, but then 15, and then 16, and yeah, but you said at least. Okay, you said at least, but we also need something in between, right? So for class partitioner, we need something in between, just one single in between value for every range. Okay, So this is my test data. I have my test data. Then what? How I'm going to execute my test case manually? How many days is going to take me to execute my test case manually? If I, well, I can fake time, but well, I have to have this record somewhere. Like, let's see let's see what we have when double actually at this endpoint content, and then we have bunch of information, and at the end of this bunch of information, I have some sort of summary. User with such and such ID on such and such date has count being 1, that's correct. Has bonus being 0, that's correct. Earnings now, credited now, blah, blah, blah. So, well, I mean, like, if I just join, like, I mean, yeah, so basically if I do it manually without any tricks, I'm gonna be here for a month. Do we have a month? Like, how long is our sprint usually? Make Hannah happy. 2 weeks. Yes, I do not have months. 2 weeks to implement, 2 weeks to test. Yeah, usually most common is 2 weeks. In my work, we have 3 weeks for whatever reason. But I think, like, even if you think from your personal perspective, what is easier for you and what is more reliable for you, to plan things 2 weeks ahead or to plan things 3 weeks ahead? Like, personally for you, I mean, 2 weeks is the maximum I can actually promise to myself, and I will fail in a couple of places, of course. Yeah, 14 days, Zaur. Well, no, of course, because now we have Charles and know how to use it. Tanya is not going to spend 31 days. She is going to spend at least, like at maximum 30 minutes on that, because I'm going to use breakpoints feature. What breakpoints does? Breakpoints pauses the execution. You will see breakpoints in your automation tests. You might use breakpoints. Developers are using breakpoints to stop the execution of the program, to see what's going on at the particular step in the program. Charles can pause the execution of your request or your response, and you can modify a request and response in real time. Disadvantage of breakpoints is you have to move your hands quickly. Otherwise, you're gonna see timeout error, which is normal, because if my app requesting information and it doesn't receive information within a reasonable amount of time, well, sooner or later, there will be timeout error, right? Because it doesn't make any sense to wait until what? In our notes, where to read more about breakpoints. I'm going to show you breakpoints. You're gonna see it in action. I do not want to use rewrite, or I do not want to use our map local, because I have to, you see how many files I have to create for my map local, bunch of those, or how many times I have to rewrite, because I have such a broad, such a big number of data that I have to pass to my app. Breakpoints would be ideal here. So I just need to figure out, okay, so we already know, so I'm going to fold it for a moment. Know that, well, this request returns information about my current status here. So I'm going to do right mouse click and say breakpoints. And so I have breakpointed it. How do I know it's breakpointed? If I do right mouse click again, I see this check mark here. If I, for example, go to users, I do not see check mark here. So here's my breakpoint. I can leave check mark, but turn it off for all calls over there and turn it on back if I need it. You can also verify that you have breakpoints on by looking at the right corner of your screen, recording, which means we're recording the session in Charles, not in our screens, and breakpoints, they're currently on. All right, let's see what's gonna happen. So before I actually do something, I want to explore again what kind of information I have for real. Well, and there is a bunch of info I do not care about. What I care about is this strict count. like days in a row that I displayed over here. That's what I'm going to fake. So I'm going to, I have breakpoint already. Wait, do I have breakpoint? Yes, I do. It's on. All right, let's do it again. So I'm going to get out and close this place. I'm going to go back and go to my sticks. See how I have the screen? The screen is asking me, Tanya, this is the request. Do you want to edit request or do you want to execute or cancel? I want to execute as it is. I want to get those points for my user, number of days for my user. And now it's asking me, Tanya, do you want to edit response? And I want to edit response. Yes, I want to edit response. I'm clicking edit response. I'm going to JSON. Wait, no, I'm going to JSON text, sorry. I'm scrolling down and I have to hurry. And my test data is what? Is instead of 1, I want to have 4. Why is not editing? 1 second. Maybe I'm stuck. Hey. Let's okay, so I'm already at timeout. I'm going to edit this. I'm going to change it from 1 to 4, but I have to do it quickly. So I'm going to say cancel. And let me try it again. So back. So here, there, execute. And then after executed, edit response, quickly move to JSON text, quickly scroll down and quickly edit. No, come on. I promise you it worked. I cannot edit it. Oh. 1 second. Can I edit anything here? No. Edit response, JSON text. Why you are not editing? I do not love you. Text. Maybe I can do it in text. Of course, it's gonna be even more painful. I will try it again with trying to edit it here. Bonus 15, repeat, it's not what I want. Strike date and strike date bonus. No. I'm going to try to restart Charles and see if it helps, because apparently every time before the class I'm making sure that everything is still working, because things are changing and something that works now might not work in 20 minutes. And so unless I'm somewhere else again. Okay. I want to uncheck my macOS proxy. macOS proxy and clean everything. I'm back to my app. Execute. Let's go here. My state. Edit request. Execute. Edit request. Execute. Edit response. Execute. Edit response. Edit response. Please let me show to people what I mean. And I'm going to leave you alone because today is our last session. Don't. Here we go. Execute. Now go back to app. Hey, app. 1 second. I'm actually taking screenshot of what I see in the app, and I'm wondering. 1 second. I'm going to show you screenshot that I just took. I hope you've heard my sound. Accept. Open in Photos. I'm going to open it in Photos, and I will also try to restart my broadcast thing here. Screen mirroring, Tanya. So this is a screenshot that I just took. No, not this one. No, come on. Okay, bear with me. Okay, my screenshot. Sorry for that, but I will still show it to you. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to save it to downloads. Accept, save to downloads. Go to Finder. Please be in recent so that I don't have to look for you. No? Okay, thank you. Downloads. Here we go. So this is me. We will see my time in the no, come on. Okay. I will drop it here. So this is me. 820 double 4 is 4 days in a row. My 5% is now active. I'm going to repeat the same. I'm sorry for not being able to, again, for whatever reason, show it to you through this app mirror. Apparently, maybe there is some sort of, dislike between Charles and this tool. And so I would have to take a screenshot again. My apologies. It used to work. I mean, like those tools together. Let me try again. So now this time I'm going to make it. Okay, so to make it fair, so that you know that it's not predefined screenshots, pre-taken screenshots. Can you give me a number? How many days would you like me to? I don't know, because it's they are not working well together for whatever reason just now. 25. So I'm going to pass 25 now. And I'll take screenshot again. Sorry for not being able to show it on the in the thing. So screenshot. I'm going to go back to my app, and I'm in double, and I'm going to hit breakpoint over here in a moment. So it will say execute request, yes, and then it's gonna say, I'm gonna say edit response, JSON text, scroll down very quickly and change one to be 25 as requested, execute, and I'm going to show you again my screenshot. Sorry about the screenshotting here. Add airdrop, Tanya, accept, save to downloads, and I'm going to open Skype, and I'm going to find my screenshot over here. Dropping it here. This is also not working. Dropping and sending it to you, and you see time is it was 8:24, 25 days, and this is my so I'm not lying to you. Force quit. So again, this is the example where it doesn't make well, it should be done fairly quickly, because otherwise it's gonna just stop waiting for any information. So that is, since it should be done very quickly, it doesn't work, not best tool for, because points are requested, points are defined in a different place, not in a different place, in a different key value pair. So if we go to content again, and if we scroll down to the summary, points are not calculated by app. So this is the number of days, 25, and this is my bonus. So that's where my points are defined, like coming from the app. So backend calculates everything. Backend keeps track, and it sends the information to the app. And app just display whatever it sees at streak count under days in a row, and then under bonus, it would display whatever it gets here in the bonus. Make sense? So there is no calculation. I was only modifying this part. Make sense? And it was enough for us to make this orange thing moving. And but you should check in the row. Yeah, so the in the row calculated by backend, and backend sends me summary. So I don't have to do much here. I just need to change state count in order to move this to make it orange. Make sense? So in this case, again, with jobs like this, when you don't have to modify a bunch of data, just one number, something like this, break, and you have bigger test data like we have right now, like we have 4, then 5, then 15, then 16, then 30, then 31, 0, whatever. So with this, other approaches will be more time consuming. You can just use breakpoints and modify data on the fly, and just check how your app responding. Make sense? So are you in love? Yeah, in iOS, any app. So we have a good question. As I said, in Android, you have to have a special build in order to be able to use it with Charles, in order for Charles to be able to read it. So it should have some extra information in the resource folder in network secure config file. With iOS, well, most of the apps, I would say. For example, if I have my let me try to restart this guy and maybe try to share my screen again. If I have Charles on, and if I in my network settings in iOS device turn on my proxy, I won't be able to use my Apple ID. I won't be able to use Siri will reply, but she will not be able to execute any commands. I won't be able to access App Store. So those are still hidden from Charles. They know who Charles is, but they just not sharing. You might want Yelp, go ahead. The problem here is that, am I changing anything to backend? Do I fake anything on the backend side? Do I change data in the app? No, I'm just fooling my application. Well, you can try to add funds to your Amazon account. Don't tell them I suggested it, but because it's not gonna work, because there will be another checkpoint and another checkpoint and another checkpoint that will prevent you from making purchases with fake gift cards, for instance. So it's just like drawing a picture. It's nothing like more than that. I mean, maybe some other screens will be available for you. You can proceed until up to checkout, but once you try to check out, you're still gonna fail because you don't have enough funds on some sort of gift card or something. So it's cool when you need to quickly check how your app displays data or behaves when a particular piece of data got received. Something like, I don't know, data in mail formatted data. For example, I recently ran test cases of where I have to identify, well, there was a mess in documentation, so I'd have to identify on our UI side, some fields were required and some, of course, were optional. But somewhere in the backend, it was implemented incorrectly. And so when nulls, like not zeros, but nulls would come, our app would fail badly because there was miscommunication between backend and front end, which fields are optional and which are not optional. So yeah, so you can see how your app is reacting if one of the optional fields are coming as null. So it should show somehow some sort of default value, for instance. So yeah, you will figure. Okay. We will become millionaires. I hope not even virtual ones, but we are going to do it legally and honestly. So now I want to explain what is Albina. It's too early. I mean, if you need to guys sleep, I still need to guide you through notes, because you've seen how Charles is perfectly working when everything is already configured. But you need to also know how to configure stuff. And for that, in our notes, you will find information about how to configure Charles on macOS. Basically, how you download it, how you install it, how you download certificate to your computer, and where you add it on your macOS computer. Same story on Windows. The exception between two videos is that this is student itself recorded for everyone, and this is one of the students on with Windows computer, and we just met before class, and I asked him, hey, go here, click there, type this and type that. So, and then this is also a video about how to configure on macOS. I don't know this lady who, it's just random video from YouTube. I don't even remember how and when and why I chose it. But basically, this is how to computer is okay, but not enough. You also need to configure your device. And so this is my video, how to configure iOS device. And this is Partnov Computer School students video, how to configure Android device. With Android device, there will be, at some point, you would have to download this certificate from a particular URL. If it doesn't work in Chrome browser, just try in a different browser. I end up in my Samsung internet browser. I end up here. And because, you might have issues with Chrome browser, just please use alternative browsers on Android devices. Our Charles proxy, our looking bus for Android has this special configuration file. You can read traffic from Charles for Android, from looking bus for Android, the way it is. I was showing emulator, but you can actually do it on your physical Android device or physical iOS device. So whatever works best for you. Well, it might be a little bit of a pain, but just follow, pass the instruction and just follow step by step. If you follow step by step, everything should be fine. Then the tutorials, of course, and then there was something else I wanted to share. Give me 1 second. How to install, how to configure. I think this is it. Yeah, just follow step by step. And it will show you, so there will be places where you would have to, this is your charts. Once you have your certificate installed on your machine, you would need to add your IP address in a couple of places. And a couple of places will be, for example, access control settings and SSL proxying settings. So everything is on this recording. And how do you know your IP address is? You can go to help and charts, a local IP address, and this is your IP that you need on the top of the things. Sometimes you configured everything. Everything was working, but then you open up your charts next time and it's not reading the traffic. Everything is encrypted, and you will see a lot of red squares with white crosses here. Just go ahead and double check again in access control settings. You double check, well, is my IP address still listed? Because sometimes it happens, it just gets erased. I didn't touch anything, it's just gone. I mean, I would have to go ahead and add this IP address again. Maybe you have been at your home location and you went to your friend to show how cool Charles Proxy is. Well, what's gonna happen to your IP address if you change your location? If you went when you've been at home on your home network and then you went to your friend's house, what's gonna happen to your IP address? It's gonna change, which means you also need to go ahead and change it into your access control settings. And then when you connect your device, you will use this IP address, etc. To connect your device as well. And your device, your device and your computer should be on the same network to work together. Now, another thing in notes that you will find is this is Carl von Rendo, a creator of Charles Proxy, giving a talk during the one of the conferences. He is actually going and explaining the history behind Charles, and listing those 7 questions that we started with today. And that's where I picked up. And he also explains how Charles for iOS application is working, because you can go to App Store on your iOS device. You can purchase Charles Proxy application for $8.99 lifetime, and you can decode traffic between your app and backend right here on iOS device. Advantages is, in this case, you are on mobile data, you can be on mobile data, and you can actually see how long does it take. Most of our users on mobile data rather than on the Wi-Fi, right? We want to see how long does it take to communicate being on mobile data. But if I am here with my Charles proxy for desktop, my device should be on a Wi-Fi. I should modify Wi-Fi network. My device should be on a Wi-Fi. So it's not that accurate in terms of testing speed, but and it's easier to configure. But the disadvantage, it doesn't have all those cool features that we've been seeing today. Breakpoints, rewrite. So everything that, the most cool features are not available on in the Charles for iOS application. It's only available in our desktop app. So I would say, good luck to you, and be patient with configuration, and please help one another when you will be configuring, and try to do it, because it's one of the on-demand tools, and if you figure out how it works, then you raise your chances to pass the interview for mobile application testing position. That would be not junior level, and also, speaking of levels and speaking of interviews, I have created in interview question channel. You are welcome to share interview questions that you've been receiving. So how this channel look like? I have posted 2 examples from recent interviews from the former students of all my friends as well. So, for example, Dmitry recently shared his interview questions. You're welcome to post it here. Then you can just reply in the thread. I suggest to post questions, and then all the communication for a particular set of questions can be done in the thread to the post. So I'm going to, again, for a moment, pass recording. And the other one, set of questions, also recent one. This is from the also well-known company that name starts with A. So those positions are still on the market. You feel free to try yourself. And let's just quickly go together over the position that is for company that starts with G, Mountain View. So they say they want 5+ years of mobile testing experience. And by the way, they say this is a junior position. So I love when they want juniors with 5 years of experience. My favorite types of positions. They want web testing and mobile testing, and they want knowledge of ADB. Manual testing only, so they are very strict about it. Solid communication and testing skills. Backend testing is a plus. So basically, this is where you can share what you know about Postman, SQL, and most importantly about debugging with Charles Proxy, because we're talking about mobile app testing. Let's see what they're asking, and so let's see if we are able to answer this question after these 3 good months with Partnov Computer School. What is your experience with Unix, Linux? They would ask you. Well, it's a more or less general question. How you would define your experience with Unix, Linux? They looking for something. Well, I've used. It's not like, well, I rate my skills being 9 or being 10. In this particular case, I think they are asking, like, what actually have you used it, and for what? Like, what is your experience with that? Not how you rate your experience. What you've done with Unix, Linux. And you might say, well, I didn't work with them, with those, or I've used it for parsing logs. In particular, we can mention server logs, or we can also say to retrieve information. from device logs as well, right? No, we're not talking about this kind of interview. And well, you can, yes, you can show them. I mean, I'm very sure if you can tell that, then you can show it. So then the second one, how to change permission to a file. Oh, yes, we're on record. Yes, Dmitry, I turned it on. How to change permission in the file? It's still Unix question. Do you remember? Yeah, and then the argument for this change mode command would depend on how do I want to change it, right? Do I want it to become executable? And so it depends, like what I'm going to pass after that, 755, 777. It depends on what I'm trying to achieve. Well, 777 is maybe too much. Usually you would change it to 755 just to make it executable. Because you don't want to maybe share with a bunch of people. Then how do you get iOS logs? I don't know why company G asking about iOS, but what the reason behind that, but I know it's company G. So how did you get logs on iOS? And it's just like for self-check. Am I able to pass the interview am I able to answer the questions for this interview? And it might not be the full list. Maybe some people who are applying to this position, I know I'm not going to reveal name. I will leave it to a person. If the person from our course who also been through the interview from this company, if the person wants to share. If the person doesn't want to share directly, you can always send questions to me and I will post it here. If you don't want to reveal that, well, I've been to the interview for such and such company and this was the questions. If you feel like, well, it's not the best thing to do, send it to me. I will post it here. So yeah, we can go to settings, privacy, blah, 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 and get our logs from here, or we can synchronize our device with Xcode and get logs from here. You know that, you nailed that, I love it. How to install an application file? Well, we can build our app, right? In Xcode, we can also, if you go into device and let me show you, I think I never showed it to you, shame on me. Launchpad, Xcode. So while it's loading, so we can build directly, right, to the device, or we can use distribution tools such as Test Flight, App Center, etc. Or I'm going to turn off charts. I guess charts and Xcode also doesn't love one another, so I'm turning off charts. Force quit, and I'm going to restart Xcode. If you know that you've been working with charts and all of this sudden some of your applications on your phone or on your computer just doesn't load, make sure that you turn off charts. You turned it off. You close it or you, okay. Anything else that might be not buena here? I'm not sure. That's my cat. I will take a screenshot. I will take a screenshot and post it. So yeah, you can also drag. You can also do it through Xcode, just in a different way. Then where did you get the API file from? Well, I think in this case, I'm not quite sure of what they mean. I either grab it, after I build the app, or I can get it from my developer, or I can, you can say, well, I've been using TestFlight, so, or, like, I've been using TestFlight, or my developer would give it to me, or I would build the app on my computer and generate it from here, grab it from here. So, okay. Is it okay? It's not scary question. Do you feel like you would answer them more or less? Plus plus, minus minus? Plus minus means more or less. Yeah, so this is our first interview for mobile. Then for Android, what they've been asked, like, and since it's not, I was not on this interview, it's like I'm sharing what I got. So the question was phrased as how to address a certain device on Android. what test flight lets you get any API for no. I don't remember. I don't think about from test flight, but I think from App Center or something like that you can. Yeah, so Dmitry already answered this question, how to address a certain device. What they mean here, they mean like, well, you want to communicate with a particular device. We can address it with -e, -d, and -s plus serial number, just to, that's our ways to address a device. How to install an APK file onto a certain device. Well, I'm sure that I can call you at 2 a.m. in the morning, and you now will be able to answer this question. ADB install pass, and if onto a certain device, you would add those how to address, right? So on the particular device. Great, you just answered this question as well. How to update an application without deleting a previous one. How to update the application without deleting and the previous one. Don't send drag and drop. You cannot drag and drop to device, right? So don't do this to me. -r, exactly. We are going to say ADB install, no, Max, -r is going after install command. So -r is going to be after install. It's going to be before the pass. So almost right. Can you edit it, please? You know that as well. How to get plus how to filter logs. I mean, yeah, we did ADB quiz. We did ADB quiz, we reviewed this. So we know how to get logs and how to filter logs, and then how to get crash logs only. Do you remember the ADB logcat command that would return you only crash, nothing else? B and what? -B? I know, that's exactly why I'm saying practice. I'll wait for a couple of more. So basically, yes, if I say ADB logcat, you can grab crash, but if you grab, you will just have one line that would have the word crash. But if you go as ADB logcat -b crash, it will give you your crash and nothing else. It's your exception and all the information related to this exception. So you just answer this as well. I'm not going to ask you how to get a video. I know you know that. I know you know how to get a video. And then what's the difference between this one? I don't even want to talk about that. And test plan also, you've been covering this with Michael a lot, with Tanya, and a different Tanya a lot. Not going to stop here. Like, I mean, I feel like that, if we listen carefully during these 3 months, well, there is no question that is, well, the person who shared with me today had a question that something that we did not cover, and it is, I mean, I will ask the permission to share the question, and we'll share in interview questions if the person doesn't mind. Well, but if you did not do something, you can honestly say, well, I did not work on that area that much. But I mean, I know that on the Android developer.android.com, in documentation, I have clear idea where to find it, even though if you have no idea. Yeah. So then this one is more of the web. And so I'm not even going to try. Well, you should have tool Jana in this conversation, but just try to figure out yourself if you will be able to figure out what it's about. I have no idea what is the viewpoint. If you know, you can share. So what is resolution? We know. Viewpoint, I don't know what they're talking about. What's the difference between a commerce website and marketing website? Will be probably you will be able to figure out. Well, marketing website, for example, partnov.com is a marketing website, and it's not even using HTTPS. Well, if you're e-commerce, well, you probably will have to stick with HTTPS for sure. Difference between ID and class. ID should be unique. Class can be repetitive for sure. What's the size? I don't know what's the size of viewpoint. Okay. What's the real experience? What's your real experience with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript? Then you tell me. I don't know. And then explain responsive design. Do you guys heard about responsive design? Do you have any clue about responsive design? I guess Jana should be. I think she no. If no, just go ahead and Google that. Well, basically, yes. If you, it's just for your references, what kind of questions you'd have to prepare if we speak about, there's quite a difference between questions mobile application testing specific and the web-based application testing specifics, right? So mobile, we covered, we were fine, we were good, and it's not like I got this list of questions maybe a couple of days ago. It's not like it was a long time ago. I'm trying to prove something, so it's literally from a couple of days ago. And so if you ever go for web-based application testing, definitely check what is responsive design, and definitely get yourself comfortable with Chrome DevTools. You still can talk about Charles, but your first tool would be, not Chrome, Safari DevTools as well. Just DevTools in general, right? Yeah, so responsive design is to make your page actually look good based on your device screen size. Yeah, so if you remember a few years ago, every time you go to www something from your mobile browser, the whole website doesn't fit the screen. You have to move it back and forth. It's very inconvenient, a lot of pain. Yucks nowadays. So they create web applications in a way that they responds to your device screen size, so that it's looking good. Boom, boom. How do we feel? It's already 3 hours in a row. Well, I honestly, I am slightly. You own me better stories. This is what I want to say. You really own me better stories. You own me not 15 responses, but something more than that. And you own me not one sentence. Not every response here is one sentence response, but there are some like one sentence and one sentence. I spent with you quite a bit of time, often extra, not to hear this back, like one sentence. This is something that you would have to explain to your recruiter, what you have been doing, what you have been working on. And I do love responses that are containing all the things that we've done, including accessibility testing. Let's do this, please. I will share it with you. And I give you sort of the beginning of the answers. I will share, but if we hit at least 30, I will share so that you can check, because otherwise it's literally, given the quality of some responses, it would be 5 people or 6 people or 10 people did the homework for the entire group of people. And I really do not think it's fair. I think when everybody, like a lot of people done with the assignment, sharing the results, like 1, 2, 3, like in a card game, here what we have, it's fine. But when only few people did it, compared to how many people we have, I really don't want to share openly, because I feel good about people who give the open answers, and well, if you don't want to participate, then I cannot help you. I will give you. Yeah, I'm not. I will. Yeah. So let's say I will check back on. I will check back in a week. And if I do not see 30 responses, I will just forget about this idea. If I see 30 plus, I will share. Well, if I will tell you that, you all gonna go with the same story. it's going to be bummer. But basically, the approach, I can share the approach with you. And again, it's not right or wrong question. If I would have to describe what I have been doing on Looking Bass project, I would say something like, by the way, let me warn you about a couple of things that I've seen in these responses, even though they were open and detailed. Some of the responses sound like you are in a classroom. You've been in a classroom. I know you've been in a classroom, but sound like you've been on a testing project. Because, for example, some of the responses might say something like, I was performing accessibility and exploratory testing, and that's it. Well, it's not it, right? So you've been doing more than that, because how long you can do exploratory testing? Say you join the project. For how long you think it's okay to say I'm doing exploratory testing? Well, one day might not be enough to actually, be comfortable with your application, but 3 months would be something that something is wrong with this tester, right? If for 3 months all he's doing or she is doing, or it's still he or she is still exploring. Well, couple of days, no, Max. It depends on the app. It really depends on the app. It might take, but again, it's some period of time in the beginning that this period of time is a long forgotten. When I look for another job, during my interview, I would not even mention exploratory testing because, well, when I was leaving my position, I already know my app good enough, in the sense that I have things to talk about. So I would not even mention exploratory testing. I can say that, yeah, so I was mainly, for example, you can say something, well, I was mainly working on testing new features, or I was mainly working on regression testing, or I was responsible for a particular, for a particular flaw, or I was responsible for testing Android version of the app. I was responsible, if you, for example, if you do not have iOS device here now, and you did not have a chance to work with Looking Bass for iOS, well, say it, well, I was mainly working on Android version of the application. If vice versa, you can say I was mainly working, I was responsible for iOS testing, but also did Android testing. So things like that you can trigger, but just picture yourself that you are not doing that like for 2 weeks. You are doing that as a project, right? It's your work project. So don't sound like in a class. I mean, I do not mind if it's going to be two pages story, but literally, you also do not have much time. You do not have much time to impress. As I said, like, I am a recruiter. I have 200 resume to go over today. If I call you and you're gonna start, the long story, I'm gonna be annoyed and I'm gonna be very mad. So try to keep it concise. The app was about such and such. I was working mostly on such and such. I was using such and such tools. Emulator, the device farms to overcome Android fragmentation, something that we already discussed with you. Now, it depends on how, no, 10 minutes also. Like, for how long do you, Victor, I mean, I know you've been listening for me for 3 hours, but I would say any speech that doesn't change topic that is more than 2 minutes long is already too long. Да, сестра таланта. So, now as you've seen Charles Proxy, I'm hoping that you will be trying hard to make it work and try this out. You can include Charles in your story. So it depends, and it's going to add a lot to you. Make sense? Also, I've seen something like I have reported, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's okay probably to say I've been reporting bugs to Jira, but it's also so obvious. I think you can say, yeah, as a project management tool, my team was using Jira, and I worked with, I don't know, user stories and acceptance criteria to create my test cases, and where, by the way, you store your test cases. Where did you write your test cases? I will answer why do you? Yeah, yes, yes. Just be ready. Just be ready to answer this, and be ready to answer that. Have it as your story. You're not writing test cases in Excel. You in Jira they have X-ray plugin. There is also some other tools. For example, Test Rail. I'm going to type it here. Test Rail. Wait, with else. Maybe it was L. Test Rails. Don't remember. I mean, Google will. I'm using this tool at work. I don't remember if it has S or not. Yeah. Also, some of you were saying that you've been reporting bugs to Jira. Well, I think save this, take it out, bring something else back instead of this sentence. And some of you also been saying, like, I reported a few critical bugs. Well, if you state something, I have reported critical bugs. Well, right away give an example, because if you just pause here, if I would be your interviewer and you would tell me, I found a number of critical bugs, I would start asking you, what bugs? What's your definition of critical? And so on and so forth. I would be, because you just dropped me here without enough information. It's my human nature to ask more questions because I cannot picture. You say critical bug. Can you picture in your head a critical bug? I have no idea what kind of what's your definition of critical. So how do we know what answers are correct regarding our working experience with mobile app tests? What do you mean? Okay, you mean like we're not going to meet? Okay, if I see 50 submission, I promise you an scheduled. If I see 50 plus submissions, if I see something to talk about in a week, I will just use this webinar during one of the days that you do not have class, and we will just meet for an hour and we will just discuss your answers. It's not going to be on a school schedule. It's going to be my volunteering time to speak with you. What technologies Looking Bass use? You can say that Looking Bass is, if we speak about application, you can make up. I think they believe they use my SQL as a database. The backend is written in Java, and then the applications are native apps, which basically means there are two code bases. One is purely for iOS, and the other one is purely for Android. But honestly, nobody asked me ever what technologies are used. Well, it's sort of clear from your resume and from what you're saying. I'm not kicking out anyone from the Slack. Like people from February class is still in Slack. As long as I can, I think it's up to 10,000. I don't know what's the limit for free Slack, but I'm not kicking out anyone. Your future employer will pay for it. Don't worry. It will pay. Your employer will pay for Jira, for TestRail, for whatever tools you have or you want to have. I mean, like if you convince why it's important, they will pay. I want to also talk to someone. Can I? It just like I want to see how relevant is this. Okay, let's say in a week to make a decision. 50 submission in a week would be fine. Is 1 week enough for you? No, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. I was always honest with you, right? Okay. So I want to ask you something. How many people, like, do you feel like, does it sound like you? I do not have an IT background. it's gonna be very difficult for me to find a job. I'm gonna be lost. I might be lost. Everything is not everything is super clear for me because I do not have IT background. Does any of you feel like IT absence of IT background stops you from what you are achieving? Now, I want to tell you something, and it's true, absolutely. So you have to understand one thing, and you will see that I'm right when once you join your workforce, once you're gonna be a part of QA team, once you get to know your colleagues, ask your colleagues how they ended up in QA, what they, not why QA. Don't ask them that question. It's not an interview. Just ask them what have they been doing before joining QA. You will find people who are musicians. You will find people who are uh, at my work I have a person who is actually he was a priest, so he was working in a church. Now he's working as QA. So I just want to tell you, and you will see it yourself. uh, the people in QA field, most of the people, majority of QA professionals that are currently successfully working and presenting the QA community had no IT background when they joined the field. Do you believe me? Yes, no, I'm not sure. So it's true. It's really true because for development, it's obvious. I can go to college or university, get master's degree or bachelor degree in computer science, or even just get a certificate, or even just learn how to code and become a developer. It's clear path. None of us. There is no QA formal QA education. So at some point, City College of San Francisco opened this certificate program for QA, and I even joined it just to be. I was curious, and I dropped it before the semester ended because it has almost no connection to QA. Because this is one of the professions people are coming from different places and they learning and they doing this and they enjoying that and that's it. So your absence of IT background has nothing to do with your path to success. Nothing to do. In fact, for some people with IT background, it might be even more difficult than to you to find the first position because if they post on their resume, for example, I am applying to manual K to company G, and I have bachelor degree in computer science from such and such college or university. And I can also, have some maybe something on my resume that I was somewhere at some point a developer. I would be asked why I, with such a background, is trying to get into QA field versus going to dev path, right? So absence of the background is not going to stop you. Just forget about it. Everyone here is not from or most of us do not have IT background. So if you ask me about me personally and what I was doing, Albina, goodbye. Have a good night. So, I was also, I had zero relationship with IT before I started Partnov Computer School, like zero. And if somebody who would have told me like at that moment that I will be able to do this and that, I would be very much surprised. Also, sometimes your non-IT background can put you in front of the line when you are trying to get a position. So, okay, I will share what my background and my education in a sense with this next point that I'm trying to present. So again, you might have a background that will help you to actually be selected out of multiple very good candidates. For example, let's say you are applying to Bank of America to be QA in Bank of America in test their mobile application. And let's say in your previous life, you were someone who've been working as in accounting or in a bank, like you've been a tailor or you've been performing some other tasks in this banking industry before you join QA field. So you can actually sell yourself as, I am a QA professional with extensive background in banking, and I was doing that and this and that before. Or if you have some sort of medical background, nowadays the health industry is blooming and they making products. Baking also will work. I will explain you how. Making a lot of products and services around health. If you from health field, if you did something in health previously, you can say, well, I am a QA professional with extensive background in medical field. I was, before I joined QA, I was doing this and that. So it gives you an advantage because you have a domain knowledge and you have QA knowledge. Baking, you guys are kidding me. Banking. Sorry, I'm reading baking already. Yeah. Well, there are companies that I forgot the name of one of the most popular with more than 1 million downloads that actually just broadcasts recipes and helps you to define grocery list. Well, if you have background and you've been chief in some sort of restaurant, or you can say that as well. So, bunch of bakers. I know you're tired. I'm tired too. Let's focus for a little bit and we'll go home. So at some point, like also you oftentimes people asking for inspiring story. Well, I mean, I can say that I can tell that every person I see who is working during the course, I know for sure. I know you're gonna find a job. I mean, if I see your name, if I remember your name, if I remember your nickname, then I know that you're gonna find a job because you will. And same story happening on campus. The only people who did not find a job, especially now, people who just stop trying. Well, just do not stop trying. You will find it. I promise you. And speaking from personal experience, even though it was a few years ago, and I was lucky because I was in school, before pandemic era, and I got into internship to the company here in Bay Area. And after 3 months of internship, I asked if they have any contract position, and they hired me as a contractor for the salary was a joke, but I didn't care because I just needed this experience. And by the way, my responsibilities actually were a joke. And when I joined this internship and later on, may I stop recording?